Hey, it's Day Day. You guys know why we're here. We're talking about Queen Sugar by Ava DuVernay, the same woman who made that very nice movie about Martin Luther King. Um, we start off with some swirling. We got a black woman and a white man. Now the black woman pretty much gives me very Afrocentric beauty, dark skin, long dreads. Her skin color is just beautiful, rich chocolate. She has the nose ring and just her style, which is very um, hippie-ish. She gives me, I use oils. I like incense. I cook with coconut oil. I don't eat meat. That's what she's giving me. And then the white guy's kind of giving me, clean cut white guy. He's a cop, or it seems like he's in the law enforcement. So I wouldn't really put these two together, but it's very interesting to see them together because, opposites do attract or whatever. So they're together, and I guess, they're waking up, they're about to start their day, and, you would assume by watching them that, they are a couple or whatever. They're together, they're boyfriend and girlfriend, they're married. But she goes out on the porch, and he's out there, and he's holding her, and they're just, they're looking on, they're looking out at the scenery or whatever. We then go to another very fine black person, rich chocolate skin, a dark chocolate black man, and he's with his son. The son's light skinned, so I immediately think, is the mother white? Is he biracial? They're at the playground, and he tells the son, I'm gonna go somewhere. You stay right here and don't move. And we later see, he goes to a store and he's robbing the store or whatever. And I'm like, oh shit. Now why he gotta be robbing a damn store? He first goes back and he's stuffing shit in his pocket. So I'm thinking he's about to just steal the candy and shit for his son and then leave. But no. This man goes and proceeds to rob the woman. He was like, give me that money. And she looked at him like, nigga, I ain't giving you shit. Like, that's the kind of look that she gave him. A white woman, cashier. But he had to pull up his shirt and was like, give me that fucking money. I got a damn gun, bitch. And so she proceeds to give him the money. And then this bitch too bold because when he was running out of the store, she said, I saw your face. Now, if I was in a situation, I would have kept my mouth shut. But, that's just me. Mhm. So we go to this mansion. It's very nice. The pool. You can tell that someone here is very wealthy and rich. And we get this woman. We meet the final sibling. It's a trio. We have Nova, who is the darker skinned black woman with the dreads, who gives me Miss Africa. We have the chocolate Lance Gross lookalike man, and then we have this one. Her name is Charley. Um, West, and she's married to an athlete, a famous basketball player. But we don't know that he's a famous basketball player yet. We find this out later. She's calling her son, she's trying to get him to come here or whatever. And the dad has to come out and like, you hear mama talking to you, boy. You better listen to your mom when she calling you. And he's like, sorry, sorry. I was doing whatever he said he was doing. Um, they go out, and I guess they're getting ready to go. I don't know if she has a job, if where he's going, but the son is definitely going to school. So I guess the dad had gave the son money or whatever, and the mom was like, why are you giving him money? Because I want him to work for his money. I don't want him to be spoiled. I don't want him to think that money grows on trees. And the dad is like, give him a break. He's valedictorian. He's top of his class. There's no other person in that school as smart as, him. And plus, he's like his mama. And, that kind of softens her up. She starts smiling. He's smiling and they kiss. And, she's pretty much done after that. After he, said that one line and was real smooth, like, she was done with that. So they go about their business, and then we go back to Ralph Angel, and he's bringing his son to his aunt's house. And I don't know if that man is his aunt is his uncle or just some guy that his aunt is dating, but he's out there, and before he pulls up, we get this old nasty aunt and uncle, you know, flirting, and we got her she's saying, I know you out there making those greens, baby. And then he's like, you make out those ribs in the house, got those cooking those ribs, and they're like flirting, and she's like, I got something for you for those greens. And he was like, I want something from you. He's sticking his tongue out, and it's very much making me uncomfortable because it's giving me, have you ever seen your grandparents make out and kiss? That's what it's giving me. Like, I feel like, please stop. Like, I don't want to hear that. And when Ralph Angel comes, and the dad is still talking about it, he like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, bring that shit all over there, bro. Like, don't come over there with that shit. So, um, Ralph Angel tries to give his aunt some money, and she's like, I don't want it. I'm not going to take that money. She's like, put that money away. You can give it to your father because he needs that money more than me. So I'm like, no, why ain't he taking that money? Is he a known criminal? So he goes on over to his father or whatever, and the father is not taking the money either. He's asking him where he got the money from or whatever, and he's like, wherever he said it, and the dad, I guess he knows that he did something illegal to get that money because he doesn't have a job, and he's like, you've been out of jail for 3 months and you already doing crime again, and the dad has nothing to say, and the son asks, the son is a diva. He is just, has his demands. He's talking about, at school, the teachers come to the party, and now everybody coming to the party or whatever. And he asked his father, maybe mom can come to the party. And he was like, Dad got serious. He was like, don't you ever say that again. I told you no. She not coming to the party. So we see right there that whatever happened between Ralph Angel and this boy's mom, the dad is clearly not over it, and he's just not having her coming up to the party. We have a scene where Charlie West is meeting up with these two other women. They all look like they are, upper class ladies. They all look nice, nails done, weave done, makeup done. They look good. And they're sitting around, and we see that they're trying to sell Charlie on a reality show, which I'm guessing will be like something like Basketball Wives or something, a new franchise in the series. But they're like, they need her because she has the more famous husband, and she is known. Their story is known out there. She was the scholar. She was the scholar who, married the promising athlete, and their love story has been very followed. So, they're like, we need you. We'll bring the cadence and the drama, we'll bring the name calling and the hair pulling, but we need you to bring the class. And she's like, I don't know, y'all. Like, she's very much not wanting to do it because she doesn't really need to. Her husband spoils her, her husband pampers her, and she has more to lose by doing it. Kind of like Shawnee. Y'all notice how Shawnee was married to Shaq. She didn't really need to do what everybody else needed to do because her husband was the more well-known person, and she probably gets the bigger child support checks or whatever. Where someone like Evelyn or anybody else had more to lose on that franchise or whatever. So she's like, I don't know. And while they're sitting down, they get a alert saying that there had been a scandal, a sex scandal involving all the players. And Charlie is like, oh my God. She's scrolling down the list. She's naming off the names of the other girls. And she's like, oh my God, my husband's not up there or whatever. So she's, praying to God that he's not involved, but at the same time, she's concerned for her girls because their, boys were named too. And even though her husband wasn't directly involved in it, it's still going to have some kind of residual effect towards her husband because, if they get fired, who's going to help her husband get to the championship and get him his crown or whatever? So she's just like, y'all, let's go. Like, we don't need to be involved in this. Let's go. So they go on, and we get a scene where we see Nova. And I don't know if Nova is at her house or whatever, because it doesn't look like the place that we seen earlier, but it could be the same place. And she is talking to, this very older lady. She's holding hands. And she passes grandma a joint. And grandma is like, this helped a lot, baby. Ooh, I'm gonna smoke this shit up. Like, she very much giving me grandma, but weed, pothead grandma. And she's on the porch because grandma leaves. And this man comes up, and I guess we kind of find out that Nova, sells weed on the side, or she sells weed primarily because, according to Nova, she has the hottest shit in New Orleans. Like, no other weed can compare to her weed. And she just looked like she do some good weed or whatever. And he's like taking a weed, and she's asking him, do you want to march? Like, let's march for our brothers and sisters, and trying to get him to be involved. He doesn't want to be involved, and he's like, now I shouldn't have to ask you to march for your brothers because you're marching for yourself or whatever. So I'm like, is this going to be a conflict of interest because you're marching for black people doing some Black Lives Matter type bullshit, but your husband, your boyfriend is a white law enforcement cop. So I'm like, could this be a conflict of interest later or whatever? We will see. But while he's leaving, he gets his weed and he's like, did you hear about what's going on with your sister? And she's like, no, we ain't close. And he's like, it's all over the news. Her team has been involved in a sex scandal. So Charlie's husband comes home and she has the news on. And as he's getting home, we can see the newscaster talking about the situation that's going on with him and his teammates or whatever. She's outside waiting for him, and she's sitting on the couch in front of the pool, and they have a beautiful view of the city. I think they're in Los Angeles. The view of Los Angeles is beautiful, and from where they are, you can see everything, and it's just amazing. He joins her, and he's talking about how this is going to ruin, his chances of becoming, MVP or whatever. I'm not really good in sports, so I don't really know what he's trying to obtain. I guess a championship. And she's like, no, don't think about that negative. Like, you can still do it. You can still make it. You guys have not been convicted yet, so we'll do the trial and we'll see how that goes or whatever. And he's like, maybe we can move because he wants that championship. So he's willing to go wherever. He mentions San Diego. He mentions some other California city or whatever. But then he says maybe South, maybe Charlotte, maybe Atlanta. If we move to the South, you can see your family more often because you'll be closer. And she just looking at him like you can tell that she is, thinking it all over in her head. And she eventually says, it's whatever you want to do. Like, she's being very supportive. So she proceeds to get on top of him, and they're kissing, and he's unbuttoning her shirt or whatever. So they're about to, have some sex so he can get over, the stress of what's going on with, his team or whatever. We go on to the son's birthday party, and he is, happy. All his friends are there, but we can see that his friends are like, "This shit is boring." Of course, the kid's not cussing, but I cuss. He said it's boring or whatever, and his teacher, Miss Valles, comes in the nick of time. I forgot to mention that the reason why all the kids are coming to his party is because Miss Valles, the spicy Latina, she decided that she was going to come to the party. So all the kids wanted to come to the party because the teacher was coming to the party. So she's there. She comes with some candy, and I'm like, this woman has went above and beyond than a teacher, has to go, outside of the classroom. She brings candy. All the kids come up and hug her or whatever. And she's like, is there anything I can do? The pinata. And she's just, going, he's like, thank you for coming or whatever. And we flash to this girl, she's, playing with the grandfather or whatever, and all of a sudden she goes back and the grandfather then passed out, like he's unresponsive. So she's screaming and she's saying, "Somebody help!" And I was very impressed with that little girl, because I don't think me at that age that would have been my first, reaction then to call for help, because I would have probably thought ass was asleep or something. So she, everybody rushes, Ralph Michaels, like, not Ralph Michael, Ralph Angel is like, Dad, Dad. And they're calling the ambulance. The aunt is screaming and they're getting him onto the truck, to see what the hell is wrong with him or whatever. So we go to the basketball game, and the son, the father is playing, the teammates or whatever. The crowd is like cheering them on. They're saying, "Go, whatever team they're playing for, go." And the wife and son, Charlie's in the stands with her son. They're smiling, they're clapping. I forgot to mention that before they went out to play the game, we realized that, Charley is a very public figure. Like, she is, looked up to in this industry and, in general. She was a scholar who gave up her academic career to be her husband's manager. And, she's seen in the media as very classy, like, very dignified. And, she even gave a classy response when it came to, what her son, her husband's teammates have done. She's smiling. You can tell that Charley is proud of the persona and how her and her family are perceived in the media or whatever. So her and her husband, they're in the crowd and they're cheering their husband on, her and her son, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the stands start getting beep 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 beep. Everybody's phones going off. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and I immediately knew that motherfucking husband that had his hand in the bullshit too. And sure enough, everybody starts saying, rapist, you're a rapist, talking to Charlie's husband or whatever. And I'm just waiting because I know that Charlie is about to get this text message, and she gets the text message. Her husband, her son look at the message, and we see that Charlie's husband is not only at the scene of the crime, he picks the woman up and throws her over his shoulder and slaps her damn ass. And I'm just like, oh my god, this nigga is involved. And she gets up and she goes towards her husband, and she doesn't care. It's like she's in a trance. She's hypnotized. All she cares about is getting to her husband and slapping the shit out of him so she can get answers on why the fuck you're in this fucking video doing whatever you're fucking doing, fucking this woman. Like, what's going on? And she's making a scene. Everybody's, snapping the cameras, and you can tell that she's over it, she's through. And I felt so bad for her at that moment. So we flash back to the hospital, and the aunt and her boyfriend, they're walking down and they're meeting with the guy. If you remember, when the grandfather was in the field, he was with this friend of his, and they were checking the soil. I don't know what they were doing or whatever. But that guy comes to the hospital and he's like, I heard about what happened. Is there anything that I can do to help the family? Just let me know. And the aunt's like, yeah, if you can look after the farm for us, that will be very much appreciated. And he's like, there is no farm. Like, not just there's a farm, but there's no crops planted, and he hasn't planted any crops in 2 years. And they're like, well, if he hasn't been, planting crops, then what the hell has he been doing or whatever? And we know that he is a janitor, but they don't know. And the friend's like, I don't know, but I've tried to find out exactly what he does, and I just haven't been able to find out anything. So they're shocked at this point, and I'm thinking like, are they dependent on the crops? Like, are the crops a major source of their money or whatever, but it can't be because if he hasn't planted crops in 2 years, then the first year he hasn't planted any crops. If it was a big source of their money, then I would assume that they would have realized beforehand. So Ralph Angel, he calls some woman, and we get this lady who picks it up, and she's a light skinned woman. She's very skinny, and I immediately knew that how she looked, that she was some kind of drug addict or whatever. And I guess in a moment of weakness, Ralph Angel called this woman, but he wasn't able to, talk to her. He hung up or whatever. Later, he goes out to go bring his son to see the grandfather because the grandfather wants to see the little boy, and he's confronted by the same woman who he called, who we later find out is his baby mother. And she's like, I got a job, I'm clean, a steady job where I'm taking parking tickets at a toll booth, and she wants to get back in her son's life. She's like, maybe I can do, supervised visits with you or anyone. And at that moment he just had enough. He snapped. He's like, really, with me? You trying to take advantage of me in my moment of weakness. And she's like, I had that right as a mother to see my son. And he was like, you lost that right a long time ago. You're not going to keep on coming in and out of our son's life and then leaving again. And at this moment, I understand exactly why he feels that way because her leaving, coming in and out of his life, that has to take some kind of toll on his son or whatever. But at the same time, I do have sympathy for the woman because what if she is cool this time? What if she really is clean and really genuinely wants to right her wrongs and be in her son's life this time? So he's in that conundrum, and then finally we flip to a scene with Nova, and she's crying and she's sitting outside of somewhere looking at someone. I'm like, is she outside her house? And then we see that she's looking at a white family with a white woman and her children, and I knew it immediately. I knew it. I was like, that is her boyfriend's wife. She is the mistress. She is having an affair with a married man. And sure enough, he comes in and he's playing with her kids, and I mean his kids, and they look like one big happy family. And she's outside the fucking house looking stupid, crying, just pitiful. And I'm just so annoyed. I'm like, Nova, I expected so much better than for you. Why, Nova? But this is my review for Queen Sugar. It comes on again today, so I'll be back tomorrow or later on tonight with the second part of the series.